start recording so that I have a local file. We should be live. Are we?
Are we?
Hello?
I think
yes.
we're live. I see it now on Twitch.
Hey.
We know technology.
All right. Now, let me go to Twitch and tweet out that we are live.
Such a beautiful voice.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I just noticed that we're like delayed on.
Yes. So, yeah, don't watch. There's like a 5-ish second or so delay.
I'm going to move our Discord over it.
Yeah, it's super confusing. It's some of the most confusing things ever.
That's so funny.
But it's supposed to help with like if people are getting like, they call stream sniping. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So stream sniping, imagine that you are a professional like Call of Duty player and you're online and somebody might like snipe into your stream to try to like find where you are and kill you and just be a troll.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just like,
sounds awful.
So sometimes they do that to oh, and that's Peter, if you didn't know.
Oh, I did.
Okay. So yeah, that's, I guess for those live that might already be listening in, I'm giving Max kind of a quick Twitch rundown before we officially start. Yeah, we are live. We're live. But we'll get our intro here in a second. The best thing about post-processing is you crop all this out.
Yeah, it's great. It's for the live people. They get to see us learn how we go.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's the chat. So I do have alerts off, like I was saying earlier. And for anybody listening already now, we have alerts off. So if you follow or donate or any of that kind of stuff, I haven't activated them so that they appear on the screen yet. I didn't want any of like the sounds going off in like Max's and I's ears to kind of like distract and stuff. So I have them off right now. The goal is to eventually get them to appear. So like if I followed, it'll still have like a little thing maybe appear from the bottom to kind of just say so-and-so is now following. We'll get that all going in a little bit. But the main thing I wanted to do was create this Twitch channel for Calling All Nerds specifically, so that, let's just say, by some cool, awesome sense, like Max and I start growing this a lot, maybe people do start subscribing or donating or whatever it might be that you want to support the channel with. I wanted to make sure that it was on this channel specifically, one, so that Max and I could like share with that and have any quote unquote revenue gained specifically for the Calling All Nerds podcast. I felt bad that it was on my channel at first because I wasn't trying to just be like, oh, follow me on Twitch. Like that wasn't the point. It was just, we didn't have this Twitch yet. So now that we have this one, any type of support or anything that can happen can now happen for us rather than just a single person. Same with our Twitter account. We have our Twitter account. We have our Simple Podcast, or Simplecast, I think it's called, our Spotify, our app. Everything is just kind of encompassed now under the Calling All Nerds. So we should be good from a setup perspective for all of our streams and kind of where we announce news and everything. So I think getting the Twitch account was the last piece. So we should be good to go.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. At this point, it's just, coming up with cool like sound bites if we want to come up with them for like the different segments and then just kind of go from there.
For sure.
But it's so cool to kind of see how far we've come already in just 7 episodes. So,
I know, it's wild.
I love it.
So I think Peter is listening. How does the audio sound from your side, Peter? Because Max and I can only just hear ourselves.
Right.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. All right. We'll take it.
Max was coming through your computer. Yes. Oh, yeah. I have you going through my speakers.
Right.
Because that's the way that I can hear you.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. So everything he says sounds good. We're on episode 7, which I think is nuts that we're already on 7. I mean, I guess it's not much, but that's like 2 months already of us doing this.
Yeah, 7 weeks.
That's wild.
7 weeks, man. I know.
So excited.
That was so cool.
Dope. All right. Well, I can, you want me to do a quick countdown? And then when I point to you, you want to kick off the intro?
Sure.
Sweet. We will do this good old classic TV style or movie style in 3, 2.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We sent out the signal and you heard the call. This is Calling All Nerds, where every week or 2 weeks, depending, your 2 friendly neighborhood nerds geek out over the latest and greatest news of all things entertainment. So glad you all could join us today. If you're not able to watch us live, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube under Nerd Alert, or find our podcast, as Tyler said, on Spotify and iTunes. We are officially everywhere now, so you can find us, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. But I'm super excited to get started here. Tyler, I didn't know if you already had one, but did you have your question of the week? And if not, I have one ready, but I'm happy to give it to you if you want it.
Yeah, so the only question I had wasn't necessarily a get to know you question. I was just going to ask you how you've been enjoying your PC, because I feel like it's been a while since I've talked about that. That was the only thing that I had.
Okay. No, that's a great question. I've really been liking the PC. I honestly don't have as much time to play on it as I wish I had. I am planning on, during this holiday season, I keep hearing about these, Steam, like Black Friday sales that they have going on, where like the sales are just ridiculous for their games. I have a few games on Steam that I really want to buy on GOG. And right now I just don't really feel like I have kind of a library of games to play on the PC. With how little time I really do have to play on it, I feel like I'm going to be playing more niche titles on my PC, at least for the foreseeable future, until I have like a more like professional setup, I would say, like you have, or something like that, just so that I would feel more comfortable playing games like Cyberpunk on it for like hours at a time without like having to worry about how I'm sitting or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I really love my PC, man.
Good.
For those of you that don't know, I am severely technically challenged. Tyler is like my guru. He's like my guy that's like been teaching me everything about PC. He finally helped me make the jump. And I'm glad I did. I swam, I lived, I cried. It was beautiful. And but it's been good. And I'm just learning things as I go every week, but I've really been enjoying it. But yeah, I'm really loving it.
Dope.
I guess question to you in regards to that. How long have you been playing? I actually have never known this. How long have you been playing on PC?
So I've been playing on PC ever since I started playing RuneScape, I guess. It's hard to say. So like I started playing PC whenever I started playing RuneScape, which was 2005, but I wouldn't really consider that PC gaming because I was still like pretty hardcore PlayStation and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
If I had to say when I really started getting into it, there was like some MMOs that I did a little bit of in middle school and high school, but that was the extent to my PC gaming. I really deep dove into it my first year of college, which for those who might not know is 2013, I think. My mom got me a laptop for college, and it was a gaming driven laptop. It was one of those Asus ROG laptops that they have. So when I got that, that's like what opened up kind of PC gaming for me. And then in 2014 or 2015, I built the computer that I'm actually using now. It's been upgraded since then, but so I've been doing hardcore, I would say, like more dedicated PC gaming for about 6 years.
Very cool. Yeah, that's so cool, man. Like I think I was thinking about it actually the other day, now that we were talking about this, but I think the last time I ever played PC games I don't know if anyone out there remembers these games, but I used to play point and click adventures like nobody's business when I was a kid on PC. Like I would play Putt Putt, Freddy Fish, Pajama Sam, Spy Fox.
So good, dude.
And then like once I got like into like, I think I was like 12 or 13, started getting into the LucasArts games and like played like Monkey Island and Sam and Max, and I love those games so much. Like even just thinking about it makes me want to replay them. It's weird being like almost 30 years old and like for some reason wanting to play Pajama Sam. I don't know how to explain it because it makes no sense.
You can. They're all on Steam. You can like buy them as a bundle.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, they literally have all those games on Steam.
Oh no.
I know. The temptation is definitely real.
Maybe I can play them with Hudson when he's a little older. Then I won't feel as weird about it.
Yeah, definitely.
I won't feel as weird about
it. What was your question that you had?
Oh, that was it.
Okay.
Oh no, that wasn't my question. I'm sorry. I just wanted to respond to yours. My question was, what is your favorite Christmas movie? We are officially heading into the Christmas season. For those of you listening out there, Tyler and I are crazy Christmas fans. We both have Christmas decorations already up in our houses. And I love watching Christmas movies around this time of year. I love everything about Christmas, and watching movies is my favorite part of it. And so I wanted to see what your favorite Christmas movie was.
So for nostalgia's sake, I'll kind of give two topics because my favorite changed, which I'll say why. It was a recent one that came out. So for classic's sake, I really enjoy I don't know if they were clay or like puppet or something, but it's like those original Rudolphs and Frosties and
yeah, those are claymations.
Clays. Yeah. Okay, so those are my favorite. The Jack Frost and like Santa, like all that kind of era of those films. Those were definitely my favorite, and I want to still say they're amazing for the nostalgic purposes. However, my new favorite Christmas movie came out, I guess it was last Christmas, and it was that Klaus movie, or Claus. I always forget. Yeah. That one definitely jumped to the top of my list as just like my favorite. And I think it even won some nominations and some awards and stuff. But I loved because it felt fresh, because you always hear people's origin stories. Spider-Man. And you see these origin stories so often in films, especially around like, Santa Claus or whoever it might be. You see these a lot. And so it was fun to see an origin story that wasn't told. It was like the first time the origin story was told like this, with the mailman and meeting Santa, and Santa was a little grumpy and all this kind of thing. And I'm a big fan of animation. That's like a big thing for me that determines if it's my favorite movie, if it's my favorite game, if it's my favorite anime. Like, typically speaking, animation on like my checklist, it weighs pretty heavy on if I love or enjoy something. And so the animation of that I thought was really good. The characters are all likable. The side plots and the main plots are really cool. And it felt like that could have been a children's book because of the way it was told. I could have totally seen that being like some person's children book just brought to life in such a beautiful way. To me, it was like a Polar Express. Like, imagine if you were a kid and you read this book and then it turned into that. I don't know why. I just got very like storytelling vibes from it. But yeah, so that is my favorite.
Yeah, no, to piggyback off that, like you're right. That's probably the best Christmas movie I've seen in recent years that's been released. I don't think I've ever seen animation like it since or before. But it does have like kind of this like grainy but very like beautiful CG flavor to it. But Yeah, I really loved that movie too. I loved how I was unsure about it at first because they did such a good job of selling how gross this town was that it takes place in and how miserable and awful these people are. But
Yeah.
it was so effective that they did it that way to show that halfway through the movie, what happens, and it's just like the contrast of it. I don't want to spoil it, but the contrast of it is just so beautiful in the way they handle that.
Yeah.
That you're right. That is a great movie. I think for me, it. I just think possibly because it was just ingrained into my memory because we watch it every single year on Christmas Eve. But my favorite Christmas movie is It's a Wonderful Life. There's just something about that movie that like I only watch it once a year. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's Jon Stewart is the main guy.
Yeah.
The actor that plays George Bailey. But it's just such a timeless story to me. I always get super emotional when I watch it. I love the story of it. I just love the idea of this man who his entire life dreams of, just traveling the world, seeing
Getting
the world, doing what he wants to do, escaping from this town. And he's so selfless and he's so like to a fault. He like does not take care of himself. Like he just like he does everything in his power to help the people around him and in his life, and he just can't help it. Like he'll grumble about it and he'll be angry about it and passive aggressive about it, but there's just something about his character that doesn't allow him to give up on people. Except he's very easy to give up on himself.
Yeah. And
I think that's what's so powerful about that movie is just showing the relationships that we are nothing without our friends. That we need people in our lives to support us and help us, and it's just so beautiful. One of the greatest stories I've ever seen, and I love watching it every Christmas because it just kind of refocuses my mind. Gosh, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. I mean, I love it so much. But yeah, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I thought that was, Julie and I just talked about that too. Because coincidentally enough, your family and my family both watched that movie on Christmas Eve. And that's the only time we watch it. And Julie and I were talking about how even though I watch this movie every single year, I still forget like parts in the movie. And when I'm watching it the next year, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. It's just so funny to me. It's like my mind has trained itself to rewatch the film each time we watch it every year. But yeah, no, that is a great pick because you got like the family aspect, right? You watch it with the family. It's like a tradition. Traditions usually weigh heavy too on like our decisions of liking things, but that's a great pick. It's James Stewart. I don't know if did you say John? I think.
I did. I did say Jon Stewart, but it's James Stewart.
Yeah, James Stewart is the name. Yeah, great film. The acting's super good. Honestly, if anybody listening now hasn't seen either of those films, I mean, it's like you got one of the best animated Christmas ones and like one of the best live action. I mean, they hit both spectrums. Definitely go watch both of them. Klaus is on Netflix, and I don't know where you can watch A Wonderful Life. Usually on TV or DVD, I think.
Yeah, it's always on TV this time of year, especially the closer we get to Christmas. I don't know where you can stream it. I would imagine it's probably like on Amazon or something, since it's such like an oldie.
Yeah.
Well, man, should we jump into our main topics of the day?
Yeah, I think so. So for those who have been chilling with these past 6 episodes, we have a little new segment that we're kind of plopping in there after our main topics and right before kind of the games that we're playing. And we're calling it Speed Round of Topics. Just kind of quickly going over some hot takes that we noticed that we still kind of wanted to at least announce and maybe just, skim over on the surface of those. But we'll be doing that after the main topics, but just to kind of give people like an idea of what's going on. But yeah, I think we can definitely kick it off with the main topics that we have. How many stories do we have today?
So we got three main topics. We're going to be talking over Capcom's ransomware attack that happened, I believe, on the 2nd of the month. Nightwire Episode 5 for Cyberpunk released yesterday or 2 days before. And then we also have the Game Award nominations, which were released, I believe, on Thursday, of what games are being nominated for, like Game of the Year, Best Genre of Game, so on and so forth. So those were kind of the three big things I felt like happened in the last few weeks. And then we have speed round topics, which Tyler said we're dropping in this new segment here where we want to talk on certain things that are just not big enough to be main topics and have a lot of conversation around them, but we feel like they're very important. And some of those are YouTube changes, something about Cyberpunk's streamer mode, 007 project, and PlayStation's Jim Ryan stating that Sony may have a response to Xbox Gamepass. And so those are the four speed round topics that we're going to hit after our main ones.
Alrighty, so kicking it off with some ransomware. Now, for those who might not know what ransomware is a new type of malicious attack that people have done due to the age of the internet. So because of digital technology and digital assets becoming pricey and having a price tag to them, ransomware is a way that somebody can go into, let's say, a corporate account, or honestly even anyone's account. Maybe they have access to your bank or your PayPal, whatever it might be, and what this person does is locks it down so that you can't access it. Typically speaking, they ask for money for you to be able to give it back up. You've probably heard some stories. Yes, blackmailing, exactly. This is the digital age of blackmailing now. No longer just blackmailing with photos. It's blackmailing with, hey, I have access to your bank and I want some of the money in there before I give it back. So that's just a quick background if you don't know what ransomware is, but I assume most people know what it is nowadays. But yeah, so Capcom got attacked, which is really sad to see.
It is. Yeah, I mean, just from, and this is an article that we're talking on with this, from IGN by Matt Kim. And there was just a lot of fallout with this one. Not only did a lot of accounts, like employee and customer information, get compromised, but a lot of leaked data got out there about upcoming games that Capcom hasn't really reported on yet. And now it's just kind of out there and people know that they're coming, which kind of sucks.
Someone in chat said they were attacked by Umbrella Corp.
Attacked by Umbrella Corp. Are they a zombie now or whatever they are now?
Yeah.
But it is funny how you say that, Tyler. Like it does seem like we are at an age where ransomware is becoming more and more common. I mean, even with where we work, right now, online security is a huge focus point of what our current company is working on to protecting itself from ransomware being high up there with spear phishing and such types of attacks. And so you're just seeing companies all over the place getting hit with these. And unfortunately for Capcom, they did get hit. And basically, it's just a lot of information's getting leaked out, mainly games, as well as kind of a purported schedule of when these games are cycled to hit. I mean, it is kind of exciting, but at the same time, you hate it for them because it kind of ruins their marketing plans around them. You know what I mean? Like, it basically takes
big
away
wow
their
factor.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought, I mean, since it's already out there in the wild, I thought I would go ahead and name off a few games that have been leaked that should get people pretty hyped, because at least what I can say for Capcom is I am a huge proponent of their games. I love their company. They have so many different types of genres of games that they are constantly coming out with yearly. They do such a great job with the Resident Evil remakes. You got Phoenix Wright for those that like visual novel stuff. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Phoenix Wright games.
Monster Hunter is a good one.
Yeah, Monster Hunter. You just have all of these different types
Street
of games.
Fighter games, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much have an IP in almost any genre you can think of,
Yeah.
and all their IPs are pretty solid.
Yeah.
So I love whenever they come out with stuff. I was kind of brokenhearted because part of me was kind of hoping there would be some kind of information about like a new Okami game or a new Phoenix Wright game.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we didn't get anything like that, which is fine. But one thing I will say, so I'm going to list out some of these from the article, but they have stated that they're planning to come out with Resident Evil Outbreak. These are a list of the biggest names listed in the leak. Dragon's Dogma 2, Street Fighter 6, Rockman, or Mega Man Match. I'm not sure what that is. Resident Evil 4 remake, which is probably that's probably like the biggest like I think people knew that was potentially going to come, but the fact that we can now say that it's real makes me super excited, because that's really like my favorite Resident Evil game is Resident Evil 4.
Same.
And the fact that it's getting a remake is just super exciting. Monster Hunter 6, Biohazard. Yeah, that is a huge one. Because it's interesting that they're giving it a number again, or they may change it, but with Monster Hunter World, if they were going to go back to the numbers, but
I'll talk about that one in a second, but Monster Hunter 6,
Biohazard, Apocalypse, Final Fight remake, which I think is Final Fight is a beat 'em up, isn't it? Or is it?
I'm actually not sure. I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, okay. And then Resident Evil Hank.
Yeah.
Or Resident Evil Hunk.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure on that one. But yeah, those are like the big surprises that they're talking about.
I wonder, when I see these titles, like Street Fighter doesn't surprise me. It's been a while since a new Street Fighter game. Resident Evil, like you said, people have already been speculating, right? Because they've been doing the first 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think they know that 4 is one of their highly sought out ones as well, right? So the one that I'm curious about is Monster Hunter. And this is just like random theories, right? But Monster Hunter World, and I could be wrong about the Monster Hunter games in general, but I thought the Monster Hunter games were pretty console exclusive, or like whatever they were on. Like sometimes they were on the DS, and I feel like they were only on the DS, or like they were on something and they were only on that console. And then like Monster Hunter World came out where it was everywhere, right? Which kind of made sense of calling it World. So I wonder if, because they're going back to like Monster Hunter 6, I wonder if this will be like a Sony exclusive, to where maybe they're thinking about only putting it on one. I don't know. Or maybe they just want to go back to having numbers because they ran out of words. But I felt like calling it World made sense because, well, one, the play style and how you did it, but also, it was accessible like everywhere. It was like a big game that everybody can kind of get access to. But I mean, it probably is just they wanted to go back to a number. But I am curious if any of these titles are going to be like console exclusive. Like if Sony has like gotten their hands on something, or Microsoft, or I don't know. Should be interesting.
Yeah, it will. I'm sure that they've already been in talks with. I always I can't be sure, but I've always wondered when those types of talks happen. Like, how far into development of a game do you kind of get have those meetings with like either Sony or Microsoft or even PC, whatever, or Steam or whatever, and just say like, hey, we want to have exclusivity to your game for X amount of years or X amount of months. Like, we'll pay you this much to have that exclusivity. Like, I wonder how quickly that comes into play.
I wonder if they would require like a game preview. I mean, some of these games probably not, because they're classics, like your Street Fighter, your Monster Hunter, stuff like that.
Kind of lives to itself. Of like,
but something like Dragon's Dogma, because like that game was like hit or miss for people. It got updated, which made it better, but like maybe they would be like, oh, maybe, but we would like to see some examples of what the game is before we decide Or
Yeah.
as someone in the chat said, Resident Evil Hank Hill. Who, I wonder what that is, because it says Resident Evil Hank, likely Hunk, which I don't really know if either Hunk or Hank make any sense to me. That's very interesting to see what that is.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought there was already a Dragon's Dogma 2.
No, there's just Dragon's Dogma. They released it for PC kind of late, and then they did like a pretty big update on it that went out. So maybe it like seemed like it was a second one, but there is only the first game, which is based on you being in a Arisen. There's a dragon, takes your heart out. Somehow you're still alive. Makes absolutely no sense. You go find the dragon, you kill him. Blah 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 blah. It's kind of it was all right for me personally, but so I have no idea what they would make a second one out of. It should be interesting. I mean, the gameplay after they updated it and were like, hey, yeah, you can do like, here's some nice quality of life upgrades for you. It was really fun, and combat was cool. It was, you could definitely tell it was Monster Hunter like, because it has the whole jump on big monsters' backs and like attack them on the sides and the necks and weak points. And you had like a group of up to 4, including yourself, that had spells, and it was like D&D like. Combat was really cool, and for the time of when it came out, it's pretty nice visually and everything, but it needed that update bad. So that could be why you were thinking that it was out for like there was a second one, because it was a massive update for the game.
Man, yeah, that makes sense then. Did you ever play Okami by any chance, or have any idea what that is?
I think I have heard of it. Let me look at it real quick.
So yeah, this is a Capcom game. This game came out for this game came out for PS2.
Yeah, Peter has this game.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite games because it's basically Zelda. It's basically Ocarina of Time style.
Mm-hmm.
But you play as Amaterasu, the sun god.
Yeah.
In the form of a wolf, and you fight using a celestial brush. You pause the game and just move stuff around. Anyway, this game has been re-released literally on the PS3, PS4, the Switch. Like, you can get this game on pretty much any console. They just keep re-releasing this game because it has such a cult following.
Put it right on your smart fridge.
Right, and it baffles my mind that they have not made a sequel to this game, because it's so beautiful. It's probably one of my favorite games that they've ever made, but like they just are not making an Okami 2, and it makes me so sad. I don't know why not.
Did one leave off in a place that would make room for a second one? Is that why? Or did you just enjoy story in general to want a second one?
I just enjoyed the story in general to want a second one. They definitely gave it a finite ending where it was like you ended it and it felt like the end of the story.
Okay.
But
at least you had closure.
You have closure. They did make a DS sequel, I guess you could say, called Okami Den.
Okay.
Where you play as like a wolf pup, who I guess is like Amaterasu's like, I don't even know how you would say it, just like son, or like maybe it's like the next reincarnation of Amaterasu, who knows. But it didn't really do that well, and I honestly was kind of surprised that they tried to release it with that art style on the DS because of just the DS's capabilities. Like, it just didn't seem like a smart move to me. So I don't know if that kind of killed any kind of propulsion that may have had for a potential sequel. But
yeah, I wonder if that like hurt funding or anything, like if it didn't sell out as much and they were kind of just like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm very much a believer nowadays that like any game that you love, I feel like any game that has like a big, or even just like a smaller following, there's part of me that always hopes that there's a chance of a renewal or a new game coming down the pipe, because we see it all the time now. You see it with Crash Bandicoot, you see it with gosh, Beyond Good and Evil. Although we have no idea when that's going to happen. But
one day Sly Cooper.
Yeah, one day Sly Cooper. I believe it, man. I believe one day we'll see another Sly Cooper game. And I believe one day we'll see another Okami game. I'll bet you a pizza that if we don't see a sequel to Okami in 5 years, I'll make that bet.
All right.
I would. Yeah. I don't know why I just put that on myself, but I just want to believe it. I want to believe that a new Okami game will come out in 5 years.
Hey, I feel that. That's how I am with Sly Cooper. Every PlayStation event that goes live, I'm always like, today could be the day. Sly Cooper might show up. I'm always thinking that. I'm always just like, this is about to be the best Sony PlayStation event ever because they're going to announce Sly Cooper every single time.
Exactly.
It's the hope, right? You just hang on, however small it might be, you hang on to it and you're like, please, like that would be great.
Please give this to me.
Yeah.
Please.
Honestly, I'd take a 1 and 2 like remake, just like really well done remake of those games.
Yeah. It's funny when it comes to Sly Cooper, not to get us too off topic, but like I actually really loved the gameplay of Sly 1.
Yeah.
Which I know like Sly 1 that's the only game that has that game style. Like like from Sly 2 on, it's more of what we know.
Yeah.
But I really loved the style of Sly 1. It was kind of like Crash Bandicoot to me.
Yep. Minus inverted camera. The fact that you couldn't change it to like normal. That's the worst about older games. But yeah, so those were some leaks. That was the attack that happened. It's unfortunate. It's pretty sad because I'm excited. I read that list and I'm stoked about those games. I love fighting games. I'm awful at them, but they're really fun to play. I love the Monster Hunter, Resident Evil. I love the list of games that we were reading out. But yeah, it's very sad seeing that fun, wow, kind of feeling that we could have gotten. It's not as much, which, hey, it'll still be nice to see trailers and teasers, and it'll be exciting because we see a title, we don't know what it looks like or anything yet. So at least that's not there. But yeah, definitely unfortunate for Capcom.
Yes, for sure. All right. And so number 2 on our main topic list, like I said, is Nightwire episode 5 dropped. Probably the final episode.
Oh, that's what they say. Final episode before launch. Although technically this episode wouldn't have existed if it didn't get delayed.
True, the game would literally be out now.
Yep.
That's a very good point. The fact that they made this episode after that delay is pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game is coming out in 20 days, man. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so they released a new episode. Definitely not the flashiest of episodes. You can kind of tell they're kind of picking at the scraps of the barrel at this point. But I still really enjoyed it. Actually, it just, these episodes keep getting me rehyped for these games every single time, man. And this one focused primarily on Johnny Silverhand's character, played by Keanu Reeves, the one and only best guy. And then it focused also on the score, the music of the game. And then it talked a little bit, I forgot about this, about just the graphics, like how they handled like motion capture and facial animations and stuff like that. And so I know, Tyler, you said you haven't had the chance to watch it.
Not yet.
Right. So I'll give you like little segments of it. For those of you that haven't watched it, just look it up on YouTube. It's great. It's about 30 minutes long, but it's great information. Keanu Reeves is basically interviewed, and he kind of dives into his character of Johnny Silverhand a little bit. And he was talking about being able to play this character, and the way it's shown in the video clips of Cyberpunk, especially, you're always in the point of view of your character V. Like your character's name is just V in the game. And Johnny Silverhand just kind of appears out of nowhere sometimes. So there's a lot of controversy or a lot of opinion around the idea of, is Johnny Silverhand real, or is he, is he a specter, is he a ghost, or is he something that's like now imprinted into your mind that is kind of following you around, kind of like the Joker in Arkham Knight. Like, is he just kind of a character that comes and goes, but really only speaks to you and kind of to what you're trying to pursue and achieve in the game. At least that's what it sounded like to me from watching their segments of Johnny Silverhand, which honestly makes his character really kind of interesting to me because I love Keanu Reeves. I was honestly kind of shocked that he's apparently going to be in the game as much as he is for how long this campaign is going to be. Because I bet he's not cheap. And so, like...
Did they say, like, playtime-wise, how often you'd see him?
No, but it at least from the segments that they showed during the episode, it seemed like he's kind of with you whenever you're, like, at, like, breaks in the action kind of thing. Or, like, trying to, like, here's your next story beat. Or, like, here's what you got to do, kind of thing. At least that's what it seems like. So I imagine he'll probably only show up at, like, key story moments.
Yeah.
Which would
that had to cost a lot, like you said, because he's also doing all their ads. I know on, like, Twitch and on YouTube, he has that ad right now where it's like, in the year 2077, and then, I don't know, he says some stuff, and then I skip it because I just want to get to my YouTube video, but he's in all those ads, and, I mean, that can't be cheap to record an ad with him, and, I mean, maybe because he got his, like, company in on it, too, to help with, like, the motorcycles, and maybe they like cut some deals here and there, but yeah, it definitely could have been cheap to give him like dialogue and all that kind of stuff.
I want to know how much money this whole thing cost at the end of the day.
Jeez,
like, this has got to be probably one of the most expensive developments of a game ever made.
Yeah,
like, just with how much they're putting into it, how much
time,
like, I mean, it's time, marketing, like you said, events, music, and kind of goes into the next segment of the video where they kind of talk about the score. I mean, they hired legit bands, like real life bands, to write songs just for this game. Apparently, it doesn't matter, every side quest, every area of Night City has its own musical score. Like, you're never going to hear like the same music twice, like for a different quest.
Wow.
Like, it's all electronic, but they add, like, orchestral beats into certain songs when it's like it's supposed to be a very emotional moment, or they add in the drums and the guitar when it's a very brutal moment, like with combat. But that just, I mean, it's kind of cool because they've announced that they've released an EP of 6 of their tracks on Spotify to listen to right now. So all of you that are watching, you can go on Spotify, look up Cyberpunk, and just listen to a few of their songs. I plan to do that tonight. But from what they played, at least in the Nightwire video, the music just sounds incredible. And I really can't wait to experience it.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
Oh, for sure. And then they talked about the facial animations. And so they were saying how, I forget what it was called, but they're using this new form of facial animation where no matter what language you choose for the game, because there's going to be multiple languages that you can choose from, depending on how the actor portrays or sends out the voice, like, so like if you say like, I'm gonna kill you, or like if you say like really quietly or really aggressively or something like that, the facial animations to that voice, like the tone of the voice will change so that the way their face changes, it makes them look more aggressive, or it makes them look a little more reserved. And they were saying it's like the most like incredible like facial animation they've ever been able to do with. I'm really excited to see that in action too. They showed a few clips of how the characters look when they say lines and stuff, and it's pretty insane. I mean, this game is going to look beautiful. I know it's not going to be like completely perfect. No game is, but like at least with the facial structures, it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, apparently. So one thing that someone in our chat was saying, to kind of give like some reference to touch back on what we were talking about with like money wise. So apparently, Halo Infinite, its budget was rumored around 500 million, and then in some analysts from a Polish brokerage firm, they said, I think this is like PLN, I think that's like Polish currency, was 1.2 billion, which approximates to 314 million USD. So speculations around the 300 million as far as like cost goes. So there's kind of that reference maybe of just like what people might be thinking about as cost wise, which is insane amounts of money. But the whole like facial thing, that makes me think of it's if ray tracing was around faces. Like it sounds just like what they're trying to do with ray tracing technology, but with like mouth recognition technology, right? Like ray tracing was, we have legitimate light sources doing 100% accurate like light bouncing and making the scene look realistic through light. This technology almost sounds like we want faces to look as realistic using this technology, which I think is going to be cool because this game contains both, right? We have this new, I don't know, facial recognition technology plus ray tracing technology, and like it's really fun to see that this is where games are at. Because I do find that typically around this time of the year, and it might be because of like Game Awards and that sort of press starts to come about, but I start thinking about, hey, what's happened to games in this year? Have I seen any progression? Typically speaking, this time is pretty tough because now that we're in these like HDs and 4Ks and whatnot, from like a graphical perspective, like you do see some big gains, but not like massive like it was when you were on like an NES to like a 64, right? Like that leap of something is, maybe not as drastic, right? But I think ray tracing was last year when it first became, but it's fun to see.
It became a big name kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fun to see that now the technology, like it's been there and they've had time to polish it, so to speak, and they're still working on getting it more fine-tuned. And then hearing about this new way of maybe rendering voices and way facial expressions look, especially after like a game like Andromeda came out that just had awful reputation because of their facial expressions and whatnot. It's just exciting to see these kind of gains, because I feel like typically you hear this game is better because of graphics. The graphics are better. The graphics are better. The graphics are better, right? And now like this year, it's finally like, hey, load times on your console are getting better. We have this new way to render light to make it look dope in games that are realistic looking, and even games that are more animated, like a Minecraft even looks sick with like ray tracing. And then we have, hey, look at this, we want faces to look better. And I can only imagine what someone like Sony would do with that. Like imagine them using this with the next God of War. Like if something's happening and getting really angry in the way that his face will shift and change versus being happy, if he ever gets happy, but getting like more lighthearted and whatnot. It's just cool to see now. Like it's like, what's next? I always ask myself that too. I'm always wondering what is next.
What does this open the door for?
Yeah.
It is kind of, you're right. It is very cool how every year we're just kind of slowly but surely, these games are becoming more intricate with how they're able to show the human form and like show the human face. And it's kind of eerie in a way, but also like really exciting.
I hope that some games don't do it. Like I always get annoyed when games like Call of Duties or shooter games do this like realistic stuff. It makes me feel a little too uncomfortable. Or like games were like Dishonored. If Dishonored looked realistic, I'd be terrified to play that game. Or like Hitman I get is people love the game. It just like some of it seems a little too real for me that I just can't get down with, because I don't really want to feel like I'm killing somebody, right? So I you know, some games I hope don't get too real, because then it almost takes the game part out of it. It makes me feel a little weird, but yeah, it's cool seeing all these like these changes, especially with hearing about these music scores. And I mean, that makes a game so much, especially seeing how much dedication they're putting into music, which I think is great. So
oh yeah, I mean, like they said, it's like the soul of a game. You know, you really have to and I mean, it makes sense. You know, when I think Cyberpunk, the very first thing that comes to my mind is like just electric, just punk music. You know, just like I listen to bands like the Midnight or something like that. They're like very synth heavy, and so like I love that kind of style, and I can't wait to just have all of that in this game.
Yeah.
But to end it out, I did want to mention something that I didn't put in our notes, but I thought was really exciting, at least for me. I don't know how you would feel about this, but people have been releasing previews of Cyberpunk, basically giving their opinion of like the first like 16 to 20 hours of the game. Like basically they've been given permission at this time to share some of their initial thoughts without giving it a final review. And a lot of people are saying that it's a very slow burn, where like you kind of start the game and they're saying it almost takes 8 hours just to get into like the groove of it.
Wow.
Of like natural occurrences. But something that one reviewer was saying that I thought was really interesting was he said this game is very much more RPG heavy than it is first person shooter, which really made me excited, because he was saying like if I wanted to, I could jump in my car in Cyberpunk, drive through Night City, and never fight a single person. I could just drive and just enjoy listening to the music, you know, just doing cool moves in my car. He was saying he was going from like quest to quest, and he could go hours without initiating any kind of gunfight. And that made me super excited, because as someone who's not, like you said, someone like me who's not very good at first person shooters, I love RPGs. So the fact that this can be more just narrative heavy and story heavy with these side quests and, you know, just narratives, I'm all for it. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I've mentioned in the past that I think a place that Cyberpunk is going to excel in is people role playing in the game, where, like we've talked about how you hope that maybe you can recreate Mad Max's vehicle, right? And there's people that will love to play this game with that sensation of like, this is the kind of character I want to make. I want to make a character who is sleazy and always goes around and doesn't get along with anybody, just in it for the money. And people are going to do that. Or people are going to say, oh yeah, you know, I don't really make too much money. I barely get work done. I kind of just go around, and I don't know, maybe if there's like mini games that are inside of it, it could be like, oh, I just go around playing the mini games, and like, I don't know, I could see people bringing out different personas, or some guys, you know, guys or girls just being like, yeah, I just like to drive in the outskirts, and I don't even go into the city. Like, I barely don't go in there if I don't want to. Or some people might be like, oh, I only stay in the city, and I only stay in this area of the city. Like, I could see someone trying to get that aspect out of this game, of wanting to be like, this is my character, this is the way I'm playing them, and I'm playing it until maybe I'm just bored, right? Like, some are going to go for storyline and hit start and finish, and I could just see some saying like, nope, I never even played the story, I just played the game the way I wanted to. So that was always like a theory I had, and hearing that kind of reinforces it a little bit more of, cool, it sounds like people would have that ability if they so wish to get involved in that. Because I know for RPGs, that's a big thing. Like, you usually have like a karma system, right? In RPGs, like Fallouts and stuff usually do it, where it's like, oh, you might be a good guy and you have good karma, people react to you differently. or you might get bad karma and be a bad guy. And people really get involved in those kind of personas too, of like, what's my relationship to those around me in the game. So that's cool. I think it's good. I was hoping it wasn't just a shooter, because I don't know, that would be a little boring for me.
Same. Well, cool, man. I think we are all set then to head into our final topic, or main topic, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
We are officially in award season.
It is, and there's a ton of categories.
Yeah, we don't have to go over all of them. I was thinking we could just touch on the main ones.
yeah, I was gonna say, let's just hit the main ones, and maybe if there's a random one out there that you want to talk about or I want to talk about, we can. But I think I know which one most people would be the most curious about and the most eager to hear, and that is without a doubt, what are the nominees for Game of the Year for 2020?
Oof, they're great games. We have 6 in total. Do you want me to present them, or would you like to present the nominees?
Hit the first 3 and I'll hit the last 3.
Okay. So, not surprisingly, my wife was very excited to hear this, but the first nominee for Best Game of the Year is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Then we have Doom Eternal, and Final Fantasy VII Remake is up for Best Game of the Year.
Yep, and then we have Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch game, and then this one's pretty cool. We have the game Hades, which was that game that was in early access and recently just hit, I think, like 1.0. And then last but not least, and not surprising, is The Last of Us Part 2. So those are your 6 nominees for Game of the Year.
And Tyler, I was going to say, I mean, I know that, like, I know one of our plans is before the end of this year to have kind of an episode like solely focused on like our games of the year, like personal games of the year. But out of this list of 6, what do you see winning?
Out of this 6, I can see either Final Fantasy Remake or Last of Us.
Really?
I think Animal Crossing is big, and Animal Crossing came out at the right time because it was right when quarantine happened.
Yeah, that game.
However,
social cloud.
I don't know how many of people that played it are gonna also vote on Game of the Year. If it was like a direct correlation, I feel like that would have a high chance, because like people who didn't even play video games played Animal Crossing. So I think it could. However, I'm not sure if it can meet kind of like the people who are typically voting on these type of deals. I know Last of Us was pretty controversial. I don't think Hades can get up there comparative to these other games. I personally want to see Hades win. Out of this list, Hades is my favorite. I enjoyed the game a lot. I don't know if it can really stand up, especially like a Square game. Doom Eternal, yeah, that was good. I just feel like some of these games happened like so long ago, so to speak, that it's almost hard to even like remember them. And so when I think of it in that way, I'm like, oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was huge. I know everybody remembers that game. Ghost of Tsushima had a big hit on people, and then Last of Us, you either hated it or you loved it, but it still made an impression and people still respected it. So
yeah, see, and that's my thing too, because I honestly, I don't know if Last of Us Part 2 is going to win. It has the most nominations, unsurprisingly, but I think the game is so divisive. I think the game is so controversial. Yeah. With what the developers decided to take the story. Yeah. Which I super respect. People off. Right. Like, I know, like, which I think is really awesome. I know, like, both of us went through the game pretty much at the same time, and we both kind of came out of it with different thoughts on it. Like, I know I super loved it. I know that you didn't love it that much, which is really cool. There's a lot to talk about in that game. There's a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of great stuff there. I just don't know who has the power to make the winner in the Game Awards is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's going to be us, like people, or is it like people that have like more like influencer status in the video game world that get the opportunity to vote. I have no idea.
Yeah. When you first saw this list, here's a question that I have. Did any of these games on this list just make you go like, wow, yeah, that's on there? Did any of those really just stand out like you to you like that?
Like to surprise me, you mean?
Yeah.
Or honestly, the only one that really surprised me was Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
I felt like that game kind of came out with very little fanfare. Which is unsurprising for id games. Unfortunately, they don't really usually get enough love. Maybe it's on there because I feel like the Doom series, I feel like id is an incredible developer. You know, I feel like the Doom games are really good. I just don't know if it stands up to these other games. I kind of am following you. I kind of want Hades to win. I've never played Hades, but I know enough people that love it to know that it's a special game. And I know that a lot of people, I have not heard a single bad thing about that game. I think it, apparently it's like one of the best roguelikes since roguelike began, apparently. I don't know, like it's really good.
Yeah.
But I kind of want Hades to win. I always like to root for the underdog there. I know for me personally, as a Final Fantasy guy, I would see Final Fantasy VII Remake win. I don't see it happening. The game was great. I just don't think it was masterclass.
Yeah.
You know, like I really loved it. I'll play it many more times, I'm sure. But I don't feel like it can stand up even to Animal Crossing if we're being real here. I mean, I feel like Animal Crossing had a very impactful a very impactful moment in the gaming history for this year. I more so I think than any other game on this list. I feel like Animal Crossing is that game that people could kind of escape the real world problems from. And I feel like that's the reason it's on this list for Game of the Year, you know, and I think it could carry it. I think it's either going to be Hades or Animal Crossing personally. Between those two.
Interesting.
I don't think Last of Us Part 2 is going to win it. I think Last of Us Part 2 is going to win for definitely other awards. I just don't know if it's going to be Game of the Year.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting for sure. And yeah, speaking of others, I mean, when I'm just like scrolling through this list right now, I'm not scrolling all the way down, but I see The Last of Us Part 2 in categories such as Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, Best Art Direction, Best Score, Best Audio. And I mean, those are just a few of what I'm seeing as I'm like scrolling through this list. So yeah, if they don't win Game of the Year, I mean, they're still gonna, win great other awards more than likely.
I don't think it's gonna win Best Narrative, just because that's what people hated the most.
Yeah,
I love the narrative. I wish it would win for the narrative, but
I could see Ghost of Tsushima for that one.
I could see it too. Ghost of Tsushima has a great narrative. The way you move through that game and it that has a great progressing system.
Yeah.
In Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I guess to let people know, 13 Sentinels, Final Fantasy Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and Part 2 of Last of Us. Those are best narrative nominees. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, you're good. I was gonna say I'm just super excited that 13 Sentinels is on that list. That's a game I mentioned a few episodes ago that came out from Vanillaware. People that did Dragon's Crown and Odin Sphere. I really want to play that game because it's kind of like a visual novel, but in mechs, where you fight in like real time strategy. And apparently the story of it is incredible. So it's really cool to see that it's on this list, which means it definitely has a story to back it up. But I'm with you there. I think Ghost of Tsushima is going to win because the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, the narrative kind of just went completely Kingdom Hearts on us. So I don't know.
What okay, so how about this one? For best score / music, we have Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy, Hades, Ori and the Will-O-the-Wisps, and Last of Us Part 2. What do you think would win for that one? I have an idea in my head what I think, but I'm just curious on, because I feel like score and music's usually a big category for sure for people. So just kind of curious what you were thinking.
I think it'll be between Last of Us Part 2 and Final Fantasy 7. I feel like Final Fantasy 7 Remake score is breathtaking. It's beautiful. It takes all of the amazing tracks from the original game and gives it that orchestral flair in the best way. Like, I think one of my favorite parts of playing through 7 Remake was just hitting Aerith's song and Tifa's song and just hearing like those versions of it. And they were just beautiful. I could totally see Final Fantasy 7 winning for best score. I honestly, the Last of Us Part 2 score was not very memorable to me, other than the song, the song that she keeps trying to play that Joel wrote. But that was really it. I've heard that Hades sounds amazing. I can't really speak to Hades, but I was going to ask, what do you think for best game?
So of that list, I played Hades. I did Last of Us. Final Fantasy. To me, Doom is just that heavy metal. Yeah, I've played every game on the list. For me, it was Ori. I found that Ori had an amazing way of changing the music to where you were, and the music was some of the best parts. And like when the combat started, it was so weird. It felt like you were just listening to just one massive song. Like as you traveled, the songs would change the background and it would just flow with you. And when like a boss fight would happen, it would then like take the same music but speed it up more and add some drums and stuff. And then like when sad parts would happen, you would like hear sounds of the background, maybe it's rain or something, and the music would then slow it down, and it would like take away instruments but then add more instrument. It was just so cool playing that game. And like without the audio, that game would be, I don't know, I can't even imagine what that game would be like without audio. It was just really, really well done. So I would say of that list, that game moved me the most. And I typically like, I hear audio for sure, which is kind of funny because if you see the background, I have a bunch of guitars and I play music all the time. So music's big to me, but for whatever reason, I don't get too much memorable memories from video games as far as music goes, and I don't know why, but Ori, I remember the music from that game, and so for me, kind of because of that, I'm like, well, out of all these games I've played, I barely remember the music, but for whatever reason, I know Ori, and so I hope to see that one win. I think it would be great, but we'll see.
Nice.
And if you want to vote on these, there is, you can go to thegameawards.com/nominees. There is a voting. Yeah, you can vote, but there is kind of like, I don't really know if it's 100% what the people vote for is what happens. I think there is like a jury or something that kind of goes on to it, but you can still go and you can vote if you'd like to kind of just get something out there. So that's always fun to do. And then depending on when it is, I'm hoping maybe that like Max and I could have it live and maybe we like react to it or something. I think that'd be really fun.
I would love that.
Yeah, depending on how it go, we'd have to figure out how that would happen, but we'll see. I think it'd be kind of cool to have like a live reaction to the Game Awards for sure.
Oh yeah, I think the Game Awards, it's like on the 10th. Are you kidding me? I'm looking this up right now.
It's on the same day that Cyberpunk releases.
Same day that Cyberpunk releases.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'll be happy to do a live stream with you. I don't mind taking a break from Cyberpunk to watch it.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Any other little subcategories you might want to like bring up?
I know we're running short on time for the main topics. I just wanted to touch on one more, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Of best performance.
Okay.
And the nominees for best performance are Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie from Last of Us Part 2, Laura Bailey, who plays Abby from The Last of Us Part 2, Daisuke Tsuji, who plays Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, Logan Cunningham, who plays Hades, and then I'm going to butcher this name, Najee Jeterum, who plays Miles Morales from Spider-Man. And I totally butchered his name, so I apologize for that. But this is the one category that I could see The Last of Us winning in spades.
Yeah. The fact that it has 2 nominations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, it's Ellie. For me, it's Ashley Johnson's portrayal of Ellie. I think that her character... I don't know what it is, man. I mean, it's very rare that a game, how it's directed, but also how characters emote through their voices for these characters, because you're not watching real people, you're watching motion capture, you're watching like animated characters. The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 both brought me to tears multiple times, just because the acting is just unbelievable. And I think just for that one scene, the most controversial scene of Last of Us Part 2 with Ellie, I think with that scene alone earns her the win, because the way that she plays that scene is just soul crushing. It's just like you feel it, like you like feel it in your heart. I remember watching it, I was ice cold. I felt like I was witnessing something truly terrible, like it was like happening right in front of me, just with how she was emoting through her voice about it. And Ashley Johnson is just such an incredible voice actress. Laura Bailey is no slouch either. I thought she did an amazing job as Abby. But for me, Ellie was the clear and away the star of that game.
Yeah, she has my vote as well, and I would say all the same reasons as Max. And I guess to maybe hit the opposite side of the spectrum. So Max kind of mentioned who he thinks killed it. Miles Morales, I think, is not a great choice. If I'm gonna be honest, I've been listening and like watching some gameplay of the new Spider-Man game. This might be the most controversial thing I might be saying on this podcast. Homeboy is annoying in that game.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't know. He just kind of sounds like an annoying teenager, which I guess is his whole plot line, is that he is a teen. I don't know, man. Yeah. I was watching some of that gameplay. That guy, he annoyed me. And I'm not trying to say that the voice actor or anybody, I'm not saying that he did bad. I'm more of just saying, like, obviously he was told, hey, we want you to do this. This is like the way we want you to portray. So I don't have anything against him. I think he's just following direction of what they wanted him to be like, for sure. So I don't like the direction that they went. I don't know, man. I was listening to it. I think Angry Joe was playing it sometime this week, and I was just watching it because I was like, well, I'll probably be getting a PS5 in 2077, so I was like, might as well just watch some of this gameplay of Miles Morales. And man, I was getting annoyed. I was like, dude, shut up. I was like, who is this? And then I realized it was Miles Morales, and I was like, oh crap, I don't even like listening to the main character talk. I was like, well, that's unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
I'm just surprised. And okay, I guess this is performance, so maybe his performance does get better. Obviously, I haven't played the game, but gosh, he was annoying. And some of the dialogue, man, was just a little cringy for me. Again, this is the direction they have, like, their storyline, and he's just a teenager trying to learn his powers, and so I get that it just felt cringy to me. And when I see it being up for a nomination against Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey, and I mean, Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, super good. Heck, even like I say Hades is another kind of a weaker one on this. I think his voice was awesome. I wouldn't really give him an amazing performance, so to speak.
Yeah,
but
Logan Cunningham is a phenomenal voice actor. I mean, he's been doing this for
yeah. So I'm just surprised that this is up for nomination. One, because the game is super new, and I guess I'm just surprised that like it was even allowed to say like, oh yeah, performance wise, you're up for nomination. I don't know.
Yeah, that is interesting because it just came.
I would say on my list that's on the bottom.
Cool. Well, we will definitely see. Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. I mean, let us know in the chat if you'd like us to live stream the Game Awards. I know I'm down. I'll totally be down to do it. I know, Tyler, like you said, it's up to if we want to do it later on or not. But we'll see. We might be too busy playing Cyberpunk. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we'll see. I wanted to ask you for these speed round topics. How did you want to go about this new segment? Do you want me to like make a timer so it's like we have to make sure we get them all in within like a 5-minute time frame? Kind of like
we could. I mean, I was just going to quickly say what the headline of those were and then briefly just talk about what that means, and that kind of just be it. And then maybe if you wanted to go into one of them more, we could, but if not, we could just leave them as that, because I think some of them is good information, but not necessarily I don't know, there wasn't enough to really dive into like we have with like Game Awards or anything like that. So
cool. No, that sounds good to me, man. Go ahead and dive in with the speed round.
Sweet. Yeah, so for our speed round topics, like I was just saying, we have 4 right now. And of those 4, we have YouTube changing its terms and services when it comes to ads. What that quickly just means is that now YouTube can put ads on videos no matter who you are. If you're partnered, if you're non-partnered, they can just start slapping ads on your videos. And guess what? When you're not partnered, you don't even get any of that revenue. So that's really annoying, and it kind of hurts people who maybe choose to not put ads on their YouTube videos because maybe they get enough support on other platforms to where for them, no ads on YouTube is the way they go. But now that's changed. It's already starting to roll out, and according to YouTube, starting 2021, we are going to see that a lot more. Before I continue all URLs and whatnot to links to these stories, if you want to read more, will be in descriptions afterwards.
Real quick, that could be death for ASMR channels.
Oh gosh, that would be killer. Cyberpunk is now adding a streamer mode to help with DMCA. DMCA is striking Twitch pretty hard recently, and so live streams are getting flagged and people are getting banned. So a way to help with that, Cyberpunk is letting you enable a streamer mode. So if you are streaming the game live, it will reduce and remove some of the songs that could be copyright stricken through DMCA, allowing streamers to have a little bit more of an at ease when it comes to playing their game, and maybe a little bit less fear of, hey, I might get banned for playing a game that I've waited for a bajillion years for. So that is a new streamer mode that has been added into Cyberpunk. Another one is 007. There is a new project for it from IO, which is the people who I believe did Hitman. So far is just a teaser. You can see it in the article. It looks pretty cool. They took the classic kind of 007 load the gun with a bullet look that they usually do for the movies. I think it's going to be awesome because Hitman visually and everything looks great. I can't even remember the last 007 I played. It's probably GoldenEye. Super excited for that one. And then last but not least, PlayStation's Jim Ryan states that Sony will have a response to Xbox Gamepass, which I think has been something that Max and I have talked about since day one, 7 to 10 weeks ago, because we skipped some weeks. When we started this first podcast, we said that Sony needs something to combat the Game Pass, and we might be seeing something, but it's not happening yet, but it is to come. So those are our speed round topics. Again, all links to all this will be in the description below on whatever platform you might be watching us if you're curious to read a little bit more.
That was awesome. Good job. That was so good. No, yeah. Really the only thing that I wanted to bring up from that too is the fact that Jim Ryan brought up the fact that they are responding to Game Pass is huge.
We knew it. We knew it was coming.
I could feel it in my gut.
Yeah, they had to. Right. They had to.
Yeah. They have to. You can't ignore Game Pass anymore. And so I think we could have seen this coming in the weeds with how Sony announced their PlayStation Plus collection, where like you get a PS5, you sign up, you immediately get 20 PS4 games for free that you can just download and play. Download them and then have to delete them because their storage is crap and can't hold more than 5 games at a time.
Gosh.
Anyway, yeah, I'm still really mad about that. I'm glad I don't have to deal with it right now. But yeah, I'm just super excited. I hope they go that route. Maybe make PS Now into more of a, I don't know, make it better than what it is right now.
I hope it does. I think it was a good call out. I mean, even just from a business perspective, they can make some good money off of it, which, hey, I get. That's what they got to do, right? They can make some solid dough off of making a good Game Pass competitor. So props to them. I think this was a long time coming, and I'm excited and eager to see, and I just hope it runs a lot better than their PS Now stuff.
Me too, man.
Yeah, but we're still talking about games, which is great. And typically, do we usually do games that came out this week or upcoming games? Because I have a list of games that are coming. I couldn't find a solid list of what came out.
Oh, even on like Metacritic or anything?
Yeah, I don't know why. It was just like, I was just having a hard time. I am on Metacritic right now. I just keep on finding upcomings. I don't know why I'm stuck. Maybe while Max is maybe kind of looking, I'll give you guys a sneak peek as to what's to come in December, because I just kept on finding December stuff. So things that I were seeing that's coming out. Empire of Sin is coming out in December. Devil May Cry for the PS5 and Series X is coming. Chronos Before Ashes, which looks pretty cool. Immortals Phoenix Rising, Dragon Quest 11 S Echoes in an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. We have some Puyo Puyo Tetris stuff. Cyberpunk, of course, getting pushed back again. One thing that I just saw was interesting was that on this list, both Elden Ring and Biomutant were on here. I don't know if these are like placeholder things, because they just sort of say the end of the year, which typically is what happens. So that was just kind of interesting that I noticed that. But I just couldn't find anything for this week. I don't know what was going on. I was having a hard time.
I think, give me 1 second. I might be able to find some. My internet's being a little funky, but I think I can find us, at least for the last 2 weeks. I will say one game I believe that has come out. I believe it was within the last 2 weeks, is Yakuza Year of the Dragon.
Yes.
And that's really kind of the big one that was on my mind, because
I think I found a list.
They're like changing it up. They're changing it to kind of like Persona.
Yes. Now it looks cool. It looks very cool.
It looks really cool. It looks really wacky and weird. But I love it. I mean, I'm down for it. I love the Yakuza games. But honestly, the part of the game that I didn't love was the combat. Yeah. I found the fighting combat to be very clunky.
Yeah.
I loved the story of it. I loved the little mini games. I love just exploring the town. So the fact that it's brand new combat, this might be the Yakuza game that beats them all for me. I hope to get it at some point.
Yeah.
But
cool. Yeah, I found a list. So here are some games that have come out since November 17th to today. We have Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, The Baron is Back, 5 Dates, Fortnite Update, Hearthstone New Expansion, Mars Horizon, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, Pure Pool, Truck Driver, Bridge Constructor, The Walking Dead, Monster Truck Championship, Poker Club, the PS5 released, which is interesting that's on this list, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is today, along with Katamari Damacy Reroll and Sekuna, a Rice and Ruin, the Skyla Prophecy, and then coming up next week we have World of Warcraft new expansion, Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid saga continues, Football Manager, Just Dance 2021, Out of Space Couch Edition, Vigor, Made of Sker, Sker, War Thunder, and When the Past Was Around. So those are games that came out this week and are coming up within the next 5 to 6-ish days.
Okay. Man, that's a big list.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity really is one that a lot of people are talking about. That's gotten some really great reviews. I don't know anything about the rest of them.
Well, apparently, and so someone in our chat said, did anyone see that some Asian retailers are starting to stock Persona 5 Scramble English Edition?
What?
So that's starting to happen.
I want that game because I love all the little like side games that Persona does. I'm surprised as someone who loves fighting games and loves Persona that you haven't played Persona 4 Arena.
Oh no, yeah, I've not.
They made a fighting style Persona game where you played as the characters and their personas in like a fighting like Street Fighter style combat system.
Snap, really? Like the 2D fighting games?
Yeah, and it's really good.
It's dope.
Really, really good.
What?
Yeah, so it looks like they're going down that I don't even know the right term for it. It's that Age of Calamity style. Where it's like a slasher, hack and slash maybe is the term.
I like it. That's cool.
Scramble. I've never really been into those styles of games. They seem a little boring to me, but it's Persona, and so I'd probably play it.
I know. It's like the way that I am when I buy an iPhone. I'm like, well, I always get them. Keep on going.
Well,
so what games are we playing? I have a fun one on this list that I have. So this will be an interesting way to talk about it. So I'm still playing RuneScape. I have been playing that the past few weeks. I started playing some Pokemon again. I've been doing some shiny hunting. So I'm playing Pokemon, playing RuneScape. But my third game, and this is a fun one. So you know how like back in the day, going to the bathroom, you had your magazine that you chilled with, and you might read the magazine while you're taking a poo. Well, I play my Android phone and I play emulators, and on there I am playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time for the SNES on my ROM.
Best Turtles game of them all.
My gosh, it's the best poo break game I've ever played. I literally have gotten halfway through that game just while being on the toilet. And that's been my game this week.
That game is so great. It's so freaking hard, man.
It's
like
insanely hard. I was like, what the heck? This is so difficult. If I actually had to pay quarters for this game on an arcade, there's no way. Yes, Teenage Mutant Toilet Turtles. That is what I'm playing.
Now, here's my question to you. Which turtle do you play as?
I switch, man. I play as all of them, because at least when you're playing it on a console edition, you play one, and then when you die, you get to choose another character if you wish. I find that some characters are a little bit better at certain maps than others, because you have like, it seems like their hitbox reach is a little different for all of them. So sometimes one's good. At least it's how it's feeling to me. So I would say all of them are very even. I try to be like, if I die, I just pick a new character, because I like to kind of keep on changing it up. So
nice. I would always play as Donatello. Him and his quarterstaff all day long, baby. Give me purple Donatello.
Yep.
But I would always... because I agree, this is such a nostalgia trip for me because I loved playing that game as a kid, but I would always get stuck on the dinosaur level and could never get past it by myself.
I just got past it finally. It took me forever.
It's awful, man. Terrible.
Because you fight the guy that you fight at the end. He has like he's another like turtle that spins and has like claws and stuff. He was so hard because he kept on deflecting my attacks, and he would spin and jump, and it took me seriously like 5 poo breaks to figure out that you had to hit the guy when he's midair to like kind of stun him, and then you hit him. It took me forever to figure this out. I mean, I only go to the bathroom for like 30 minutes because, well, now I'm playing games, so I kind of taking long number 2s, but man, it was tough. I was like, yep, that sounds right for these kind of styles.
I always love that sound that it makes when you hit an enemy, or
yep.
or whatever, like
that audio.
Yeah, the audio sound.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, 30 minutes is a long time to poop. So
you know, that's what happens when I'm playing games.
I love it.
So Max, what are you playing?
Yeah, I am playing. I'm still playing Trails of Cold Steel 4. It's a long game, as JRPGs tend to be.
Yep.
But I'm really loving it. As anime as they get. But I love every second of it because I love anime. Trying to get Peter into it and trying to get someone else in my life into these games because they deserve it. These games are so incredible. They are an investment though, but just trucking along with that. Playing as well now that it is free on PlayStation Plus. I got Hollow Knight Void Heart Edition, which I guess comes with everything. And this game is incredible. Peter kind of recommended it to me, and I don't normally play these games. It was very much like Ori, but like completely different in terms of aesthetic. You know, it's very dark, very dreary, but I was really drawn to it. It kind of made me think of like Secret of Nim, where it's like this like society of mice, but more as like a society of bugs, like living in this like, you're kind of like just traveling through the ruins of this once great bug nation.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool. I really enjoyed playing it. And I'm not very far in it because it's hard as heck. But it's really cool.
Yeah.
I really dig it.
Awesome. Yeah, it is a very tough game. I have tried countless of times, but it's cool to see that Cold Steel is still kind of like dragging on. I like seeing when games are, I don't know, take some time to play them.
It's got a good following, you know, like these games are not very over on the West, but they have enough of a following that they keep getting localized. And I just pray that it keeps up because really the big 2 series for Falcom right now is the Ys series, which I would honestly say is more popular in the West than Trails. But you got Ys, and then you got Legend of Heroes Trails. And so with Trails, they're saying that we're about halfway through the overarching story for this saga, this epic of games that they're making. So they're saying they got another like 20 years of games to make for this series. So I'm all for it. Yeah, I'm ready to keep going, man.
There we go.
They're coming out pretty fast. They chuck them out like once a year. So I'm down for that.
Sweet. Well, that, folks, is what we are playing. So if there's anything interesting for people, maybe try to play along with us. Let us know what you think about the same games. But I think it's time where we're going to wrap it up with our final topic that we always like to do. And that is, of course, our entertainment of the week, where we suggest some fun entertainment, whether it be movies, video games, comic books, books in general, or I don't even know, it could be a YouTuber, a Twitch streamer, whatever it might be. It is our entertainment of the week that we are recommending you all try and just see what you think alongside of us. So, Max, this week, what is your recommendation to those listening right now?
So my recommendation for this week is a TV show. And it is Fargo. This is a show that you can watch on Hulu. Hulu partnered with FX. So if you don't have cable, any FX show is on Hulu. But they just released season 4, about 3 episodes into it. And it's really great. I'm trying to think of how to describe Fargo. Fargo is a crime thriller set in the Midwest, where everybody talks like this, don't you know? And, you know, they just like, okay, then, you know, just very Minnesota. And it's all about crime syndicates in those areas in different time periods. So like, and one of the great things that I really love about the show is that every season is standalone. they all live within the same universe, so certain characters can pull over into other seasons, and it's kind of like a nice little Easter egg of like, oh, it's connecting here. But every season has a start and a finish with their characters and their overarching arc. And like season 1 takes place in 2011, season 2 takes place in the 70s, season 3 takes place in 2014, and then season 4 takes place in the 50s. And it's all just revolves around the Fargo crime syndicate, and it's just wacky, crazy fun. The show follows a very like set structure, kind of created by the Coen brothers when they made the movie Fargo, which was kind of the father of the idea of the show. Which the movie Fargo is an incredible movie in its own right. But it's a very timeless sort of storytelling because you kind of start each season and you find the character who is the hero, the moral compass of the show, and then you have your chaos, the wild card character, the character that is the main villain that you really can't tell how they're going to act, how they're going to react, how are they going to fight against the hero. And then you have all these wacky characters in the middle of it, everybody connected in some way, shape, or form. And every season is always about normal people doing their normal lives. And then one event happens that blows up everything and people just get sucked into the crazy. And you just have to watch it all happen and see how it ends up. And every season is just so captivating in its own right. And I can't recommend the show enough. Check it out if you like crime dramas. It's one of the best out there, and it's usually very, very high class actors every season they get. This most recent season has Chris Rock, who's really great in it. Last season had Ewan McGregor as the main character, and then season 1 had the guy who played Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit movies. He was in Watchdog. And then you have Tom Hanks' son, Billy Bob Thornton. Just huge names are in these shows, and their acting chops are through the roof. So
it kind of sounds to me like American Horror Story, but just like not scary, obviously. But it sounds like that's similar, where it's like every new season is like a start and finish, and it's like totally different each season with like a new cast and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. Yeah. I like that. I like those kind of shows. I will 100% check that one out.
Please do. I'd love to watch it with you too, man, because it's really fun to watch with people that have never seen it before. But I own them all on DVD because I love the show that much.
Perfect. That works. So mine is also a show, so to speak. It's an anime. So my recommendation is pretty much because I binge watched like half of season 2 just like 2 days ago, and that's Fire Force. So specifically, I'm watching season 2 of it, but there is a season 1. So if you haven't seen it in general, it is so cool. It is an anime. It's literally about firefighting, but not the way you think. They are like fire demons, so to speak, in this town. There's an entire plot line about some secret kind of organizations and societies within this world. It is post our world. What happened is that a calamity hit the world and the world was destroyed. And then it was a person or a group, so to speak, that kind of revived society because of fire. Similar to like you see in a lot of origin tales of, fire is what made society come apart. So it has, some magic, has really good action. The storyline is really good on it. And oh man, it's intense. And so I would say that if you're really into, I would give it like a uniqueness because it is this like, I don't know, like it's like firemen, but it's also like
freaking awesome.
It's so cool. And the audio, I wanted to say this, the audio of the track, and I think we've talked about this before in the podcast, but the audio is insane. It's like when certain parts happen, the bass just like really kicks in. Right. And the main character,
I was trying to do it in my mic, but it was just like, like
yeah.
I didn't even do it right, but like it's like
the main character, his feet is like his power, where his power lies, and he does like flames come from his feet and he can fly. And he has this, like, whenever he kicks in and he like breaks the sound barrier, you just hear like a boosh that just kicks in, and oh, it's so good. And yeah, someone in the chat was talking about how the OP is just awesome. It's so good. The music for it was like,
this current one is the best one they've ever had.
Oh,
it's in my personal opinion. It's like,
I still like the first season, like the first one that they did, but yes, the most recent one, because I wasn't a fan of seasons 2's, like the starting one, like the first half. It was like okay, but yes, this second half has gotten a lot better.
It's one of those openings that you never skip. You always like watch it through because you enjoy it.
It's good. So it's on, Crunchyroll. I'm not going to tell you other places that you can watch anime. If you know where you watch anime, that is where you watch anime. But you can watch it legally on Crunchyroll if you so wish. It's good. I recommend obviously starting from season 1. Hey, if you want to start from season 2, you do you. But there's a season 1, so start there. And that is my recommendation for the week. But it was a good one. It's a good show.
Yeah.
But I think that wraps us up though for episode 7. This is our 3rd time being live, which is pretty sweet. One thing I wanted to say before we kind of like end it out is that next week is holiday week. Max mentioned it a few podcasts ago that scheduling will be a little bit different. And so, next week is kind of like the time of Thanksgiving here in the U.S. And we are definitely celebrating it with our families and our friends. So the podcast not going to be able to go live next Friday. The Friday after, I think we should be able to pick back up after that. I haven't really checked too much on the calendar, but I assume the week after should be pretty fine, which is the 4th of December. So I think things are good. And then more than likely on that next podcast, we might try to touch about what we're thinking kind of around that end of December is going to be looking for Max and I as far as a podcast goes. We got some holidays coming up and whatnot, so
I would definitely imagine that the final 2 weeks of December we most likely will not record. With the Friday being Christmas Day, and then the following Friday being. So I would I can't speak for you, Tyler, but I would imagine we would probably want to take those weeks off just to enjoy time off. But I agree. I think the 4th is good. Maybe maybe if we decide to do, the live stream of the Game Awards, that could be the following week's show.
Yeah.
And then maybe just one more Friday. But it all just depends. It could be that we just take some more time off before the new year. But, it just depends on the holidays. The holidays get crazy. You never know how crazy it's going to get until you're in it.
Yeah.
And so we'll keep everyone posted for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, Max, where can people follow us and find us, the Calling All Nerds? Where can they find us online?
So you can find us online in YouTube. You can find us if you just search Calling All Nerds episode 1, whatever you want. Just look up Nerd Alert. You can find us at YouTube there. You can find us on iTunes as well as Spotify by searching Calling All Nerds. As well as you can follow us on Twitch now that we have our official channel of Calling All Nerds here. And you can follow me personally on Instagram at madmax528 if you'd so like. We also are on Twitter. We have a bunch of different channels that we follow to keep us updated on all gaming news and to give our own thoughts on anything that's going on throughout the weeks. And so you can follow us on Twitter as well. But Tyler, what about you and your other shows? Plug them up.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, the whole 9, you can follow me at Mr. T Nader. It's pretty simple. That is literally my name for everything. So if you look me up on some platform, I might be there. So that's where you can find me. I go live a couple times a week. So hopefully I'll see you later. But appreciate you. Thank you all for kind of tuning in and joining us on episode 7. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weeks and upcoming weeks. Have a good weekend. And I think with that, I'm going to sign off. So peace out to my friends and have a good one.
Lato.